In order for a song to get a lot of airtime on the radio, it has to be mostly inoffensive and free of obscene language. That's why the radio edit was invented, to make pop hits out of songs that otherwise had no chance of making it onto the airwaves. But what do you do when you have a track that you just know will burn up the charts, but has too much of an edge to get played on the radio? Many musicians have allowed their lyrics to be bleeped into oblivion or drowned out with sound effects. Others have gone a more creative route, completely altering the offending lyrics. And while that can also be a successful method, sometimes it completely changes the meaning of the song, sometimes to the point where it does a total 180 and results in the opposite meaning that the artist originally intended. So listen up and listen hard, because you may never hear these songs in the same way again. I'm Will for WhatCulture, and here are 8 radio edits that completely changed the song's meaning. Number 8, James Blunt, You're Beautiful. On the radio, this is the quintessential cheesy love song. Everything about it says, we should sleep together, and I'll do anything I can to facilitate that happening. It's a standard song message, to be fair. The melody is frail, his voice is quivering, and the lyrics are so light that they could be blown away by the small amount of air it takes to sing them. The story in the song is a little hard to track since it flitters back and forth in its chronology, but it's essentially about an unrequited love and the longing and fantasizing that comes with it. So, the edit. The line, she could see from my face that I was flying high, is originally, she could see from my face that I was f***ing high. That one falsetto song swear word changes everything. When the story is infused with the simple fact that the guy in it is stoned, it takes on a whole new level of lethargy. In a few dozen lines, Blunt goes from meeting this beautiful woman and coming up with a plan to woo her away from her apparent husband, to then immediately recoiling and giving up on executing said plan, to then believing an angel or the cosmos or whatever had some grand plan for the two of them to be together, and finally simply facing the truth and moving on. It makes a lot of sense when you realize that the dude in the song was just as high as balls. Number 7, Dire Straits, Money for Nothing. Chances are you saw this one on MTV before you heard it on the radio. The song itself plays second fiddle to the intense images of neon squigglies and some terrifying Lego Gumby hybrids, so you might not remember much of what the song is about beyond the fact that the rock stars seem to get money for nothing and chicks for free. And if all you've heard is the radio edit, you definitely don't know what this song is about. Because there's one little important aside the radio version leaves out. Before Ordinary Joe goes back to work, he lets off some steam via one swift, homophobic tirade. Quote, see the little with the earring and the makeup, yeah buddy, that's his own hair. That little got his jet airplane, that little he's a millionaire. Those lines didn't seem to translate so well onto the radio. In one short verse, the narrator transforms from an affable shucks sort of everyman into a bigoted asshat. After that, it's hard to empathize with his rough life. The offending lines were so despised by Canadian fans that the Canadian Broadcast Standards Council just lifted a ban on the song in 2011. Now, radio stations are required to edit out the offending verse entirely, or at least bleep out the F word. The other F word. Number 6, Enrique Iglesias, Tonight I'm Loving You. Affable Latino heartthrob Enrique Iglesias has been crafting generic, oddly vanilla love songs for way over a decade now. Women swoon to his tunes because he's equal parts sexy and sensitive, with the teensiest hint of a dangerous side. All Enrique ever seems to want to do is be with you, to be your hero, and maybe, just maybe, some other creepy stuff as well. In the chorus, the original line isn't, quote, tonight I'm loving you, it's, quote, tonight I'm f***ing you. Makes him seem a little less genial, doesn't it? Sure, when Enrique croons to you that no matter what he's going to love you tonight, it's just another instance of a down on his luck guy expressing his undying love for someone. Quote, it doesn't matter what you think about me, he says, but dang it all, I'm still gonna love you. On the other hand, when Enrique tells you that in no uncertain terms he's going to bang you and there's nothing you can do about it, it's no longer such a sweet sentiment. That's a creepy sentiment. No matter what kind of pulsing dance beat you throw behind those words, there's no way it's going to come off as adorable. Number 5, Christina Aguilera, "Come on over baby, all I want is you." It's rare for a radio edit to be more overtly sexual than the original album version, but that's exactly the case for the 2000 hit single. Here's a small sample of some lyrics that aren't in the original and were added exclusively for the radio. "I'm not just talking about your sexuality, but I can't help myself when you put your hands on me. It's paradise when you and I get close, get tight, one-on-one, I wanna go on all night." And then there's the raspy, cooed rap verse that puts forth fewer innuendos but does make up for it with her overt, doomy voice. The album version is actually a much gentler, innocent look at romance. The new, raunchier lyrics initially caused Radio Disney to ban the track, so Aguilera went ahead and recorded a second edited version for them, because playing the original, already edited album version would just have been silly, apparently. Number 4, Lady Gaga, You and I. You and I is essentially an ode to a past love, a sort of farewell to her former beau that also celebrates the experiences she had with him. This can be heard in her repeated declarations of love for Nebraska, her ex's home state. It's one of those little details we don't always get from Gaga that adds some personal significance to the song. Way to go, Gaga, keeping it real. And then there are the other dozens of versions of the song where Gaga switches out Nebraska for a different city/state so that she could apply that personal touch to every zip code in the United States. All total, there are at least 9 versions of the song, with New York, New Jersey, Minnesota, Florida, Texas, Cleveland, Wisconsin, and California. There are likely dozens more that you'd only hear if you were listening to the radio in a particular city or state. And now You and I is no longer a personal story about the history she had with her ex-boyfriend. Now it's a desperate marketing ploy to convince fans that she's singing about their hometown. Oh my god, she sang about us, how crazy! Etc, etc. Number 3, D12, Purple Pills. The song you heard on the radio, it's about traveling the world, right? Quote, "I've been so many places, I've seen so many faces, but nothing compares to these blue and yellow purple hills." See, Eminem and company are just retelling some old travel stories. What a bunch of fun jet setters they must be. But seriously, this song is about taking copious amounts of drugs. The only reason you might not know that is because all traces of drug references are wiped away for the radio. For instance, that verse I just said, that's not how the song begins in the unedited version. "I take a couple uppers, I down a couple downers, but nothing compares to these blue and yellow purple pills." That's how it actually begins, and it only expands from there, detailing their encounters with Valium, shrooms, coke, ecstasy, acid, mescaline, and possibly even some recreational drugs that hadn't been invented yet. But none of that appears in the clean version. Instead, they overlay nonsense words or vague sexual innuendos. Number 2, Shaggy, It Wasn't Me. The man who brought us Boombastic presents us with 4 minutes of advice on the myriad of ways to deny adultery. Isn't it deplorable? Albeit in a fun, head-bobbing, hip-swaying, can't-stop-singing the chorus kind of way. In the edit, "We were both butt-naked banging on the bathroom floor" was changed to "We were both caught making love on the bathroom floor." So at least it's not quite as vivid as it was originally. As far as songs about getting caught cheating go, taking out the banging is always a pretty good idea, especially when the entire song is about denying the fact that any banging actually took place. At least with the radio edit, Shaggy's friend and featured vocalist Rick Rock sounds like he might be after more than just a game of strip Monopoly with this woman. Heck, he may even be in love with her. It's almost adorable, or at least not as douchey as it was originally. Number 1, EVERLAST, What It's Like. Seriously, who even knows what the radio edit of this song is about? There's so much backmasking and random sound effects in place of actual words that this song becomes nothing more than a bluesy hip-hop puzzle that's missing too many corner pieces. What we do know is that there are 3 main characters, a beggar, a pregnant girl named Mary, and a guy named Max who gets murdered by the song's end. So let's look at the original. First of all, Max is actually a drug dealer and addict. In the song's most egregious case of over-censoring, a valuable cautionary tale is glossed over in order to make the song clean enough for radio play. They flat out censor the word drugs, not even a specific type, just drugs. And then there's a following verse which had the words faced, gun, chrome 45, and even dead all removed, thus removing the entire lesson about not selling drugs and being a macho idiot. I get removing swear words, but there's a point where censorship goes too far. This is certainly that point. And there you have it, folks, 8 radio edits that completely changed the song's meaning. Feel free to drop this video a like if you enjoyed it, and feel free to hit me up on Twitter at @YouSlyDogU. I'm Will for WhatCulture, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.